Wonderful. Good afternoon, and thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. I am Mike Ellis. I'm the Deputy Premier and Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services. I, of course, want to first acknowledge that we are gathered today on the traditional territory signatories of Treaty 7. I also want to acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta, of course, who have a deep connection to this land. And I also want to welcome music legend Paul Brandt to the podium, as well as human trafficking survivor Alicia McManus. Thank you so much for being here today. Look, I'm very proud. I'm very proud to be here and announce the recipients of the Alberta's Combating Trafficking in Persons Grant. Mr. Paul Brandt is also here to share some very exciting news about the creation and launch of the BOLD mission through the Alberta Center to End Human Trafficking. But of course, I'm going to let him talk about this very exciting news very shortly. These actions announced today are the next steps in our ongoing efforts to combat the serious issue of human trafficking and ensure survivors get the critical help that they need to heal and, of course, rebuild their lives. Today's announcement coincides with National Human Trafficking Awareness Day in Canada, which occurs tomorrow. This day serves as a reminder that while human trafficking often remains hidden, it leaves lasting scars on the victims, survivors, and, of course, the community. It's a very real crisis affecting people in Alberta and right across this country. By acknowledging this day, we reaffirm our commitment to combat this crime, stand with our survivors, and prevent exploitation. The organizations receiving the funding shine a light on both the urgent need to tackle this crime in the incredible community work already underway across our province. Over the years, we have made significant investments to disrupt trafficking networks and support our survivors. We understand that addressing both sexual and labor exploitation requires a cohesive strategy, one that includes prevention, accountability, and comprehensive support for the survivors. Alberta's government has supported many crucial programs, including the creation of the Alberta Center to End Human Trafficking, the Combating Trafficking in Persons Grant, which we launched, of course, on December 13th, builds on this momentum. With $5.5 million available this year, it furthers our commitment to prevention, protection, and empowerment, the core pillars in our fight against human trafficking. Today, we're announcing that there are 19 organizations across Alberta that will receive funding through the Combating Trafficking in Persons Grant. Each one of these organizations brings a unique strength and innovative approach to ending trafficking. These recipients exemplify collaboration needed to combat human trafficking. Each one plays a very critical role in protecting vulnerable individuals, disrupting criminal networks, and empowering survivors to take control of their futures. One of the recipients operates right here in Calgary. They're called RESET, which stands for Rapid Exit from Sexual Exploitation and Trafficking. And RESET provides specialized trauma-informed programs that include safe housing, counseling, comprehensive assistance to help women who are exiting sexual exploitation and trafficking. This grant will enable RESET to expand its transition programs, to increase its capacity, and to reach those with immediate risk. Another recipient is Her Victory, an organization focused on both crisis response and longer-term skill building for survivors. They address critical needs such as a safe shelter and emotional support, while also providing education and employment pathways. By strengthening peer support networks and collaborating with community groups, Her Victory ensures survivors have the tools necessary for self-determination and independence. A third recipient is the Métis Nation of Alberta, which will use this grant to develop programs specifically tailored to Métis survivors of human trafficking. Collaborating closely with elders and community leaders, these initiatives will be culturally grounded and trauma-informed. Prioritizing Indigenous-led and Indigenous-focused projects is a vital part of our strategy, given the Indigenous peoples are disproportionately affected by trafficking. By centering Indigenous voices and traditions, we foster appropriate responses that promote holistic healing. This is what really true reconciliation looks like. It's through these partnerships that we send a very clear message. Alberta does not tolerate human trafficking, and we will do whatever it takes to protect our citizens. Whether it's sex trafficking, labor trafficking, or any other form of exploitation, we are committed to exposing traffickers, safeguarding victims, empowering survivors to break free from the cycles of abuse. I want to extend my sincerest gratitude to all the grant recipients and applicants who, of course, support this vital work. Your compassion, your commitment are changing lives. They truly are. And I thank you. And I, of course, like to invite Mr. Paul Brandt to the stage to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here today. Thank you, Minister Ellis. It's great to be here with you today, Alicia. I'd like to thank Minister Ellis and the Government of Alberta for prioritizing the issue of human trafficking in our province. Today's announcements further demonstrate the Government of Alberta's commitment to addressing and suppressing human trafficking. Through measures supported by prevention, protection, partnership, prosecution, and empowerment, we will continue to work alongside survivors of this heinous crime, consistently measuring for outcomes as we deliver value and impact in our work. Awareness about human trafficking is vital, but it takes much more than awareness alone. When we combine awareness with action, we truly can end human trafficking and exploitation. So tomorrow is February 22nd, Canadian Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and we've chosen today to mark two significant milestones in Alberta's anti-trafficking efforts. In cooperation with the Government of Alberta, I'm here on behalf of the Alberta Center to End Trafficking in Persons to join the Minister to announce the allocation of these $5.5 million in grants to anti-trafficking agencies in our province. Through the combined efforts of the community-led Alberta Center to End Trafficking in Persons and your Alberta government, today we're also officially launching the visual brand, website, board member composition, and social media channels for the Alberta Center to End Trafficking in Persons. We're very excited to do that today. Known as the Alberta Center, we have a mandate to address all forms of trafficking, including its most prevalent forms, sex trafficking, labor trafficking, and organ trafficking. And we work to ensure a robust provincial human trafficking response, ensuring timely access to safe, coordinated services for survivors. The Alberta Center and its governing board prioritize Indigenous partnership, voices, and leadership, as well as ensuring that survivor voices and perspectives are heard and included in this work. Through a coordinated and consistent approach to awareness, education, training, as well as enhanced data collection, research and reporting, and measurement of outcomes, we will uphold a cycle of continuous improvement, value, and impact. Currently, we're working with regional, provincial, national, and international partners as the Alberta Center builds its presence and implements its strategy as a coordinating body in this province. Today, it still surprises many in our community that human trafficking is happening in our province and in our country. As awareness builds, especially around Human Trafficking Awareness Day, many Albertans are just awakening to the fact that human trafficking does not discriminate, that it can happen to anyone. From this vantage point here in Calgary's downtown, we look out over the city and the beauty of our province with a commitment to our community and to those currently directly impacted by this crime. Today marks a new era in prevention and response to human trafficking in Canada. The Alberta Center is its first anti-trafficking agency of its kind in Canada, a true community-led initiative upholding the desired community standard in partnership with and in ongoing support from the Alberta government. Human trafficking is one of the fastest growing crimes in Canada, but it remains largely invisible. It is a $180 billion a year global industry. Human trafficking prospers in secrecy, so traffickers are motivated to keep this lucrative business hidden. Young people are vulnerable, and parents are unprepared, and often victims are unaware that they're even being exploited. The average age of first being trafficked in Canada is 13 years old, and traffickers currently in Canada are making over $280,000 per year per victim. 93% of trafficking victims in Canada are Canadian, and 94% are girls and women. The greatest risk factor for being trafficked in Canada is simply being a girl. While this is a challenging and difficult topic, today's message is about hope. The Alberta Center provides hope to survivors and their families. Beyond the Alberta Center, the grants being allocated today support amazing allies who are doing the boots-on-the-ground work to fight trafficking. By empowering ourselves with knowledge, improving and coordinating systems of response, and working together, we truly can make a significant difference. How do we know this? Aside from statistics And hearing from those with lived experience is also incredibly important. Through cooperation with the Alberta Center's Survivor Advisory Circle, consisting of lived experience representatives from across Canada, we know we're on the right track because survivors have told us so. We're honored to have the opportunity to hear from survivor Alicia McManus today as she brings her thoughts on the work currently being done at the Alberta Center. So with our base camp in Red Deer, Alberta, and our new location at the Calgary International Airport, the Alberta Center will continue to expand its presence throughout the province over the coming weeks and months. With a vision for a future free from human trafficking and its devastating effects, the Alberta Center works with the government, law enforcement, community-based organizations, at-risk populations, businesses, the general public, and people who've experienced human trafficking. As a public-private partnership, the Alberta Center also welcomes corporate partners, donors, the media, policymakers, and other thought leaders, as well as academia and researchers, to work with us as we unite to empower our community in disrupting and preventing human trafficking. This approach also ensures survivors have prioritized access to exit opportunities and comprehensive supports for them to leave that world behind. So thank you all for being here as we commemorate tomorrow's National Human Trafficking Awareness Day, celebrate this $5.5 million funding allocation, and announce the details of the new brand of the Alberta Center to End Trafficking in Persons. Thank you all so much, and we welcome Alicia McManus.
Is this okay? You know, 18 years ago, I never would have believed that I'd be standing up here today next to the man that I used to watch when I was a child on CMT singing My Heart Has a History. But I wouldn't have believed it because for years I had so many people tell me over and over again that I'd never be more than just a body to buy and sell. From the woman that ran the brothel that I was at who laughed in my face when I so naively asked her, what am I supposed to put on my resume after this? To the hundreds, thousands of men that paid for access to my body, and to the men that filmed me naked in a basement. There was just constant reminders that I'd never be worth anything more than what was between my legs. But they were wrong. They were wrong because I am standing here today next to Canadian country singer Paul Brandt, who has never once made me feel like I was anything less than what I am. I'm a wife, I'm a parent, I'm a businesswoman. I do sit on the board of the Survivor Advisory Circle. I'm a writer. I am a proud member and founder of a local 2S LGBTQ group, and I am a force to be reckoned with. And that is all because of places like the Alberta Center and all of the organizations that receive some of that $5.5 million funding. And they always put the voices of survivors, and they value the voices of survivors and put us at the forefront of everything and show us our value. Whew. And then the most important thing is because they understand the importance of collaboration, I get to stand up here today as a mentor to an incredible, incredible young woman. And when she's having a hard day and she's not feeling like she's enough, and she might not feel like she'll ever be worth more than the things that she was subjected to, I can look her in the eyes and say, you're wrong. Thank you.
This brings us to the question and answer portion of our announcement. We do have some media on the floor here. I'd just like to remind media, out of respect for victims and survivors of human trafficking, just keep your questions on topic, please. Do we have any questions from the floor in the room, from the number of journalists that are here? Okay, we don't. We also have no callers on the line.
Arthur, let me just say one thing, because I think it's very important here. There's a lot of work that is being done by this government in this province when it comes to victims of human trafficking, when it comes to victims of the fentanyl crisis, as Paul and I discuss quite often, a lot of this is interwoven together. So it's not one or the other. I can tell you we are already seeing some very positive results, not just with the work that these wonderful people are doing, and I look forward to even more results that are going to be coming up. But I can tell you, even over the last several weeks, as you know, many of you are aware, we deployed sheriffs to the border to work with our border services agents as well as the RCMP. And I can tell you that the great work in being able to understand and recognize somebody who might be a victim of human trafficking, we've already yielded results. We had a very successful switched-on sheriff who spotted a young woman who was in a rental car being driven around by a man, and it turns out that he was trying to smuggle her across the border into the United States. So this is a societal issue. I'm very proud to be part of a government that recognizes that not just human trafficking is an issue, but victims, any victim of crime, victims that, as you hear me say all the time in my former role as the Mental Health and Addictions Minister, addictions itself is a neurobiological illness that requires medical treatment. It's not something that we need to normalize. We need to get people help. And what I have seen with the great work being done by all these wonderful people is that not only we are trying to identify people that are victims of human trafficking, but we're also trying to help them with their trauma. We're trying to make sure that they can live happy, healthy, and productive lives. And this is consistent with things that I have talked about and I'm one of the founders of, which is the recovery-oriented system of care. We understand, we recognize, we enter into a system, we go on a journey of wellness, and then we exit the system in a better place from which we started. I don't know why anybody would be opposed to healing, and especially healing for those who've been trafficked by quite frankly, predators. So I had to say those extra words here because it's very important out of the respect and love that we all have for victims of human trafficking. This is no small issue. We do not take this lightly, and I am so proud to be a part of this and provide the money for this, and I'm very proud of the work being done by this man right here and his team to make sure that we are taking this seriously, and that not only are victims being taken care of, but also to ensure that predators are going to get their time in court as well. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks.
We do have one question from the floor.
Did I stall enough to get a question? Okay, sorry.
You can go ahead, sir.
Hi, here in Munster County with the Calgary Herald, Post-Media Calgary. Just curious how the government is going to monitor the way, the 5.5 million will be put to use, and the progress that some of these organizations will make through this money.
Sure, I'm going to let Paul talk about this, but on a very high level, as many folks do know me, for me it's about taking action. It's about accountability, oversight, but it's also about outcomes, right? I want to know that the money that the people of Alberta, who are very, very loving and compassionate people, are giving to help these types of organizations, I want to make sure that it's meeting those outcomes, but I'm going to pass it on to Paul.
Thanks for that question. It's actually a core pillar of the work that we're doing with the Alberta Center, ensuring value and impact. Back when I was chairing the Alberta Human Trafficking Task Force, we identified that was going to need to be a major focus. The recommendations that we put forward through the Reading Stone report included the Alberta Center to End Trafficking in Persons as the primary recommendation that would coordinate Alberta's human trafficking response. And what we've seen through this process even is there's a need to build capacity within the system. Less than 6% of anti-trafficking agencies measure for outcomes across North America. And so Alberta is leading the way and investing heavily, ensuring that outcome measurement is something that's being done to make sure that value and impact is being reached and that it's actually impacting the lives of survivors. So thank you for that.
Just to follow up, is there a framework that would allow, these 19 organizations to, cooperate and coordinate and deliver or just talk about some of the progress they're making?
Yeah, great question, and I think that really is the purpose of the Alberta Center, that collaborative, cooperative, really positioning the entire province to work together for collective impact. And that was really the key focus of that Reading Stone report. And we're really seeing people, switch on to that across the province with the Alberta Human Trafficking Provincial Network. We meet regularly to bring concerns forward, talk about what we're seeing in the field. We have a number of different groups, operational advisory committees that are speaking into the process. And that all takes a lot of coordination, but it's amazing what can happen when we all work together. I think we saw the outcome of that even in the hockey game last night.
All right, so we get a picture.
Are we seeing any more questions from the floor? Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. This concludes our announcement.